The Galactic Research Station orbited a distant moon, a gleaming speck of civilization in the vast darkness of space. Within its sterile corridors, Dr. Evelyn Hart had become something of a legend, though not for the reasons the Interstellar Scientific Committee had intended. The Crethaxi cubs were supposed to be her research subjects. 3 juvenile predators from one of the galaxy's most feared species, rescued from a dying world and brought aboard for behavioral studies. The adult Crethaxi were apex hunters, creatures of nightmare with obsidian scales, multiple rows of serrated teeth, and intelligence that rivaled any sentient species. Their young, however, were rare subjects of study, typically hidden away in their homeworld's deepest caves. Evelyn had named them despite protocol objections. There was Zara, the eldest and most calculating. Then came Rix, whose curiosity often got him into trouble. And finally, little Nova, the smallest of the trio, who had imprinted on Evelyn within the first week. What the human scientist hadn't realized was just how advanced their language comprehension had become, or how thoroughly they had hacked into the station's communication systems. It started innocuously enough. Evelyn's weekly call home to Earth. "Mom, I'm telling you, they're absolutely brilliant," Evelyn gushed, her face illuminated by the blue glow of the hollow screen. Across the station, in their habitat designed to mimic their native environment, 3 pairs of luminescent eyes watched through a hijacked feed. Zara figured out the puzzle cube in half the time it takes human children, and Nova, "She brought me a gift today, a protein bar she somehow stole from the cafeteria. I have no idea how she got past 3 security doors." In the habitat, Nova's chest puffed with pride. Rix made a chittering sound that might have been laughter. "Aren't they dangerous?" her mother's worried voice crackled through. "Oh, immensely," Evelyn laughed. "But they're also babies, deadly, hyper-intelligent babies. Yesterday, Rix tried to hunt a maintenance drone. He stalked it for 20 minutes before pouncing. It was the cutest apex predator behavior I've ever documented." The cubs exchanged glances. Cute? The word didn't translate perfectly into Crethaxi concepts, but the affection in Evelyn's voice was unmistakable. From that moment, everything changed. Austin Mitchell, the station's chief security officer, was the first to notice the anomaly. "Evelyn, we have a problem," he said, striding into her lab with a data pad. His usual stern expression carried a hint of bewilderment. "The cubs have been accessing the communication array." "That's impossible. The encryption is apparently child's play to juvenile Crethaxi." Austin pulled up the logs. "They've been listening to your personal calls for 3 weeks. All of them. And not just listening. They've started accessing other crew members' communications too, but only when someone mentions you or them." Evelyn felt her face flush. "Every call? Even the one where I told my sister about the time Nova tried to groom your hair and accidentally pulled out a chunk?" "Yes. And the one where you described Zara's hunting practice to that documentary producer. And definitely the one where you told your friend back on Earth that you'd trade a year's salary for a way to legally adopt them." In their habitat, the cubs had gathered around their own stolen data screen, displaying Evelyn's biometric readings. Her elevated heart rate made Zara tilt her head with concern. The situation escalated when Evelyn's colleague, Dr. Vexton, a Quillari scientist with little patience for primitive species, made an official complaint during the weekly staff meeting. "The human has compromised the integrity of the study," Vexton declared, his translucent features rippling with disapproval. "She treats subjects like pets. It's unprofessional." Before Evelyn could respond, the lights flickered. Every screen in the conference room suddenly displayed the same image: security footage of Vexton attempting to tranquilize Nova last month when she'd wandered into his lab, calling her a savage beast in his native language. Then a second clip: Vexton telling a colleague that Evelyn was too emotionally compromised to conduct real science. The screens went dark, But the message was clear. The Cubs were watching, and they were taking sides. Austin pinched the bridge of his nose. We need to address this. They're not just observing anymore, they're participating. The breakthrough came during Evelyn's call with her nephew, a 6-year-old named Tommy who was obsessed with space monsters. As she described the Cubs' latest antics, she noticed movement on her peripheral monitors. All 3 Cubs had positioned themselves in front of their habitat's camera, perfectly arranged to be visible on her feed. "Auntie Evie, are those them?" Tommy's excited voice squealed through the speakers. Evelyn's breath caught. "Yes, buddy. Those are my Cubs." Zara raised one clawed hand in what could only be described as a wave. Rix mimicked the gesture, though with less grace. Nova chirped, a sound Evelyn had never heard before, and the universal translator flickered to life with a single word: hi. The scientific community would debate for years whether that moment represented true linguistic breakthrough or elaborate mimicry. But Evelyn knew the truth as tears streamed down her face. The Cubs understood everything. They always had. Over the following weeks, an unusual routine developed. The Cubs would listen to Evelyn's calls, and she'd narrate her day knowing they were her audience. Austin discovered them accessing educational databases, military tactical manuals, and inexplicably, Earth cooking shows. "They're learning about human culture," he explained during a late-night coffee session with Evelyn. "Through you. They see how you talk about them, how you defend them to your family, how you describe their intelligence to skeptical colleagues. You're teaching them what it means to be seen." When the Galactic Council finally arrived for their evaluation, they found the Cubs performing cognitive tasks at levels that shattered every previous benchmark for their species. More importantly, they found 3 juvenile predators who had developed an unprecedented cross-species bond. "Extraordinary," the head evaluator murmured, watching Nova curl up beside Evelyn's workstation while she compiled reports. "We've never documented Crithaxi displaying protective behavior toward another species." Evelyn smiled, scratching behind Nova's auditory ridge. "That's because no one ever bragged about them before." Behind her, unnoticed by the evaluators but perfectly clear to Evelyn and Austin, Zara's eyes gleamed as she accessed the station's communication logs one more time. The Cubs had a new project, learning to call Earth themselves. After all, they'd been eavesdropping long enough. It was time to join the conversation.